Don't do that. We go ahead. I guess stand for the pledge of allegiance. Started here. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome all. Happy New Year to everybody. Public forum. We do have a sign up sheet back there, so if anybody wants to chat, things there, put your names back there and figure that out. Do we have anybody who wants to speak tonight? Anybody signed up? Great, we're clear. All right, announcements.
I don't have any announcements other than we're going to go ahead and move to the front of the agenda, the Frontier Charter Academy presentation, and then Krista Miles from OSBA to talk about my evaluation. So we have first on the agenda, Frontier Charter Academy. And so we have with us online Melissa Wolfer and I do have the PowerPoint ready to share. If that's okay with, you guys want me to do that?
That would be great.
Let me figure out how I'm going to do that. Hold on just a second. Where's the packet? Right there. Okay. Not a pro. Just. Here we are. So you just let me know when I need to move to the next area.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Katie Schweitzer. You get a small but mighty team. If you've seen our presentations in the past, you've probably had Todd or maybe Bo and me, but it's a girl power team with Melissa and I today. So I'm the elementary principal. I also oversee our student services special programs. And this is a general overview, our annual report to you guys. I don't know if there's anyone in the room that's not familiar with us, but we are an entirely virtual school. We have students statewide throughout Oregon, and this is going to give you kind of a little update of our year. So if you are not super familiar with us, I won't read this to you, but this is our mission statement. And this is really what we base kind of all of our work on. Our teachers build our curriculum. It's very project based, and this really lives at the heart of our work. So when we do everything, we try and pull back to this mission statement to make sure that all of our work aligns to it and that we're staying true to it. As just kind of an example of what that looks like in action, sometimes it's hard to conceptualize, especially since most of us didn't experience any kind of virtual school as a K-12 student. This is a sample, it's just a little bit of a project from our humanities in 7th grade. And you can see, what this is really going for and what we try really hard to do, especially as we move into a world with things like ChatGPT and things like that, to really make projects and have questions that push students to really use critical thinking skills and to really have things that aren't Googleable, so that they really have to use the instruction that we're giving them and apply it to a project that could apply to their real life. So this is just one small example of that. We do have some demographic information for you. So this is this is our student ethnicity makeup. You'll probably see that it kind of mirrors our state, maybe leaning even more less diverse, I guess, rather. We tend to have a fairly white crowd. That is just kind of what we get. Excuse me, I have kids in the background. I'm going to go shut my door. But you can see just kind of our minority groups are represented there in the other colors. You can also see our school gender. It's been more or less the same throughout the years. We're going to talk a little bit about our enrollment in later slides, but you can see it's more or less equal. Then this plot map, this is, I think it's really interesting. This is just where all our students come from. And by and large, most of our kids come from the I-5 corridor. But you can see that we have students kind of throughout the state, which is neat for us because we have kids that are all in our school that have really different experiences and backgrounds just based on the geography and where they grew up. And through our school, you know, they connect with kids that they probably wouldn't connect with normally if they just went to their neighborhood high school. So we'll have students that, you know, have had maybe a really rural upbringing in Eastern Oregon, and they're very good friends with some kids that are in Portland Metro. And, you know, they're able to kind of learn from each other. And that's a neat thing that's kind of unique to having a school that draws from all over the state. This is a little bit about our staff. You can see just kind of how we've evolved. You know, originally when we started in 2017, there was less than 10 of us. And when it says admin, most of the admin also had some kind of teaching component as well. And you can see how we've just kind of gradually added classified staff to do some support work as well. And, you know, our numbers of staff have kind of ebbed and flowed. You can see the COVID boom that you'll see when we talk about enrollment in a little bit. So this is that. So this is our student membership. So you can see kind of where we started. We did not have all the grade bands when we opened originally. We added on to the elementary grades and then the upper grades as we built. So you can see how we grew, but then you can see we're kind of artificially, you know, our enrollment advanced during the COVID years just because so many people were looking for online options that were maybe more prepared than districts that were kind of thrown into it and building it as they went. And then we have kind of leveled out, and you can see where we sit. That's pretty similar to where we were before COVID.
Katie, I have a question.
Sure.
Is class-wise and student-wise, obviously aside from COVID, is that about where you guys had kind of guessed where you would be with students, or is it lower or higher?
It's lower. I think what we saw a lot. It's kind of been interesting to watch, actually. So we had kind of all these kids come to us during COVID, and then you had some kids that stayed. They just felt like, you know, it was a better fit. You know, online school worked for them, even if it wasn't something that they hadn't tried before. But then what we also experienced, which I think we all felt, is like all these families that had kids at home and everyone at home, and they needed them to go try the building for a while. And then some of them have come back. And then we've had some kids that went to the building and then they were like, you know what, they were doing better with online. We always have kind of a transient population. That's the nature of virtual schools. But yeah, I'd say we're kind of back to getting what we would kind of consider the more typical students. And that doesn't do a great job explaining them because our students come to us for all different reasons. But it's kind of come back to who we were serving before COVID. Did that answer that question?
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Melissa, and she is going to go do a little financial dive.
So this is just a statement of activities that we have from our audit this last year. And Dandy, you can kind of see, if you can scroll down just a little bit there, you can see that we're using some of the COVID gain that we received as part of our operating costs, just using up that savings, but we're still well above 10% of our annual expenses in terms of carryover or savings. So we're still in a very healthy financial position. This is just a graph of the numbers you just saw. Definitely see the COVID boom. I'll hand it back to Katie.
All right, so this is kind of an interesting piece for us. All virtual schools kind of have a different niche. Ours is almost more traditional in that we do live instruction and we follow a scope and sequence. So we don't use canned curriculum. You know, students can't jump around in it. They can't go as fast or as slow as they want. You know, they attend classes and they move along with their class. One thing that we have really stressed and focused, and it kind of comes back to that mission statement, is that our instruction should be as engaging and relevant as possible. And one thing that we feel like is kind of a testament to that is that our attendance rate is really, really high. And it's high in comparison with other like online schools, but it's also really high when you look at the Oregon average. And as I'm sure you guys are kind of seeing stuff in, you know, the media, but this is something that Oregon as a state struggles with. And so we feel like just having this amount of regular attenders is really powerful, and it kind of speaks to what our teachers are doing in the classroom, and that our students find it important and they choose to attend. This is a little bit about last year and some highlights. So our graduation cohorts are small. They're usually around, usually we've only had a couple, but 30 kids or so. So we did see a dip in our grad rate, but a dip for us, a significant dip is 2 or 3 kids. So we had a 71% grad rate, which we feel like is decent, but it's definitely something that we've focused on and we always want to improve. Our 5-year completer rate was really good. Our on track to graduate is 89%, and that is something that we've really focused on. Some work around our grants has us create some goals for our school, and this has been one of them, and we're seeing that work pay off, which is great. This is just a little bit about our school year and, you know, different. So we have an enrollment of roughly 389 students. We have 7 starting next week, so that will just keep going up. That's our percentage of kids on IEPs. We do tend to draw more students in receiving special education services for a lot of reasons. We have kids that have, you know, maybe had negative experiences in their past school district, or, you know, they have a lot of sensory or social emotional needs, and we can be an option for them that is really different than a building experience. And I think it's nice that that is an option for families now. We don't traditionally have ELL students. I think there's a whole bunch of reasons that we could get into, but we don't have to. So we currently don't have any. Again, we have about average amount of kids receiving 504s. Our staff members are there. Our technology, Tim Baddock, our tech director, isn't with us now, but our tech department is 2 people, and they are amazing. They really do amazing work. They do a lot of support via help tickets for our students and our families. They're super responsive, and their goal is to just make sure that the technology is never a barrier and that we can alleviate frustration as soon as possible, so that students can focus on learning. So you can see some of that work in here and how we support students. Again, we have students all over the state, so we do some work with hotspots so that students can access even if their internet bandwidth is not great. We do Frontier Days, and those are once a month. Those are field trips, but they're inclusive of the entire family, since we can't, you know, run a bus around the state. But it's turned into really nice community events. We have siblings join us. We have, you know, the parents are with us, and this is a great chance for our kids to meet each other face to face, to see staff face to face. It's really great to see our kids that have been with us for several years, and just to see like the friendships that they've forged. Again, for those of us that didn't grow up in the digital age, you really wonder, like, how do kids make friends online? They do, and they make really strong friendships, which is great to see. These are really well attended, and you can kind of see a list of where we went last year. We try and make sure that they have an educational core, but that they're really engaging and that they're fun for students, regardless of their age. We've had clubs for the past few years, and this has been really, really popular. Most of our clubs are high school, middle school, but you can see we have a wide variety of offerings. These can be kind of staff driven, or they can be student driven. And then if they're student driven, you know, it's really a matter of working with our staff to find advisors. Oh, sorry. Was there a question? No? Okay.
It was a cough.
We have a juniors honor society and a regular honor society. We just did an induction ceremony, and then we have our junior induction ceremony next week, which that's been great how that's really taken off, and we've had great participation in that, and it's been good for our students.
That's it.
I think that is the end of our presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. I can't stress enough how grateful we are for the partnership that we've had with the district. I don't think we could have a better district to work for. And we just have always been grateful for your support, and I hope it continues for a long time.
You too.
Thank you, Katie.
Yes,
Thank you,
Thank you very
Melissa.
much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing. And next on the agenda is Kristen Miles to talk about my evaluation.
Hello, nice to see you all. This should be relatively quick tonight. We are just discussing what you're going to use as the standards that you're going to use for the targeted feedback survey, which we have done before. This is the piece where we go out to staff, we go out to the community, and I administer the survey, get it back, and then you get that information when you go to complete the evaluation. So tonight we're just picking those standards, and then you're going to tell me who you want to survey. And I've also developed a rough timeline working backwards from when we need this done. So what I want to share with you is that historically, for the past couple of years that we've done this, you've chosen standards 1, 5, and 6. And that is, so standard 1 is visionary leadership, which is about collaboration with the board, inclusion of the community, implementing strategic priorities, and reporting back. Standard 5 is communications and community relations. That's about developing systems, engaging with constituencies and partners. And then standard 6 is effective organizational management. So about hiring and retention practices, systems thinking, productive relationships with associations, etc. And so those are the 3 that you have chosen sort of consistently to go out and look at with the community. And I know that in the last couple of years, and you can do any of these, what I would ask is that we stick to 3. In the last couple of years, the rationale for staying consistent was that you could look at, historical data and look at, whatever any trends have been and all of that for each year. That said, we can look at other standards if you would like to, but I just want to let you know that's what you've chosen. So do you have the book in front of you, or do you have, I see you all looking at something. You've got the book in front of you. Okay, great. So, so my first question is, the quick question is, would you feel like staying with what you have done in the past, or do you want to look more comprehensively at other standards?
I'd like to keep the same standards so that we can continue to build upon what we already have.
And I agree with you. I like to look at data.
What we're here for, so I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've been looking at it. I wouldn't even know which other one to do besides the one we currently have, maybe, and I was looking, maybe culturally responsive structural leadership and improvement might be one too, that I would,
More of the.
yeah,
Include
but at this
topic,
point, I'd rather stick with the 3 that we currently have been, yeah.
And three is enough? You want?
3 is,
Four is
3
too
is
many?
the right amount.
Four is too many?
That's what we usually do. Yeah. Okay, so you want to stick with what you've done?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
that makes that fast. The other piece is then there's a selection of who do you want to survey. So so what we usually do is we want to survey folks who have, direct knowledge of Dandy's work, right? And so usually what we do, and you can remind me, Dandy, you can remind me what we've done in the past year. We usually do folks who work directly with you, like on the staff side. And then I don't remember how we have picked community and family members in the past. Have we picked like groups of folks that have worked with you, or how have we done that? Like it wasn't coming to mind today.
Yeah, we've asked people to participate who have been participating in other things throughout the year.
Okay.
So like different focus group or committee work,
Okay,
strategic plan, that kind of thing, bond.
okay. Okay,
And I think what I've done is the last couple of years, Sandra and I put together the names of all of those people with the emails.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then you send it to me, and then I,
Yep.
yep, and
Yeah.
then I distribute that. Does that sound good to everybody to keep that also consistent with, looking at who reports directly to Dandy, and then looking at, who's been involved on the community side and the family side with the work? Like with with
Do we have-
groups and
do
all
we
of
have-
that?
That's
Keeping
right in
that
there too.
consistent.
Yeah, so,
What I was gonna-
yeah, so as
As long as you have both sets,
both licensed and classified. I'm good.
yeah,
Well, we also have confidential and non-represented
okay,
and
Oh.
administrators,
Okay.
so all of
perfect.
all of them.
Cross-sectional, yeah. Great.
Okay.
Okay, So then, yeah, what I would add, well, let me now talk about the timeline a little bit, because then we can work backwards and figure out what we would need when. So I think the next, and when you want to finish this is February 8th, I believe that's when we meet next. And I'm thinking, is that,
Yes, that's the work session.
and that's the date that we want to finish is, that's the longer piece that I'll be there for, and we'll wrap up then, is that right? That's the plan?
That works.
What day
Okay.
was that?
February the 8th. Because then at the 15th meeting, you'd read the summary out
Yeah.
to the
Right.
record.
Okay, so if we want to finish and have this, like have this back to you by February 8th and have you all come with your evaluation and us talk all the way through this, then what I would want to do is close the survey by January 31st, because then I need some time, our administrative assistant needs some time to, because she's working on the back end, and then I need some time to do the data. Which means that I would want to open it, I want to give folks at least 10 days to complete it. So we would want to open it by January 22nd at the latest. We may be able to open it a little earlier than that, but usually 10 days is about right. Any longer than that, and we just don't get a whole lot of more than we're going to get at about 10 days. So the week of the 15th, I would send a notification email to folks saying, hey, you're gonna get a survey, because we want to prime them for it. We don't just want to give it cold. And then we generally see more participation when we send something out in advance and say, hey, we're gonna ask you to participate in this, because then they're looking for it. So then my question is, if I'm gonna send something out the week of the 5th, not on the 15th, but that's next week. How soon do you think, Dandy, you and Sandra could get me the contact info of the folks that you want to survey?
I think by Tuesday at the latest, we can get it.
By
to you.
Tuesday? Okay,
Yeah.
great. And that would just be a spreadsheet of
Yeah, just a
like,
dump list. Yeah, we'll just
yep,
full names and yep.
yeah, with 2 tabs, families and staff. That'd be
Yep.
great. Okay. Do those dates work for you? Just sort of working backwards, have it done by February 8th? Sounds like enough time for
Yep.
everybody?
Yes,
Sounds good.
yes, thank you.
Okay. Great. So that part is determined. Then I would bring all that to you on the 8th. We would complete the survey. I'll be there in person for that. We'll complete the survey. I'll bring you the summary of all of that. You'll digest that, complete the evaluation, and then, like you said, then you do the summary, I think at a later date, or you release the public statement at a later date. Is that right?
Yes, usually the next,
The next
Regular
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
it'll be February 15th. Kristen, they have a copy of my self-reflection.
great.
Do you want a copy of that?
Yeah, you can send that to me. That'd be great. Take that. Okay, that is the only work I needed you to do tonight. That sets me up for, once I get that contact info, then that sets me up for what I need to do next, which is administering the survey.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is why I said I was gonna pop in remotely, because because it's like a 5-minute thing.
Exactly.
Do you need anything from me or have any questions?
Yep.
We're good, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
See you later.
All right,
Thanks, Kristen.
bye.
Where are we? Down there. We need approval of the minutes for the November. Look at them.
Anybody have anything before I make a motion?
I just had one, which I already told Andrew, which is just the date at the top of the regular session introduction. Should have been Thursday, November.
No, not November 16th, but November.
No, I mean, it says October, should be November,
Oh,
right here. That was the only one.
well, good catch. Somebody else caught it. I didn't catch it.
That's a quick easy thing to catch, yeah.
I move that the Jervis District Number 1 Board of Directors approve the regular session meeting minutes from November 16th, 2023 with a minor revision on the date.
So we have a motion.
Okay.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good to go. No public forum. Is there out in Cyberland?
Well, Lisa Miller's there, but I think she's just
listening.
She's just listening, yeah. So,
Hi, Lisa.
Anyway. Okay, on to reports. So because this meeting is supposed to be in December and we have a regular meeting next week, I told Prairie she didn't need to be here tonight.
Okay.
I figured you didn't want to hear that. I mean, we always want to hear Prairie, but
Yeah.
she's got valuable time. So, the December meeting is slated to have reports from some of your other directors. And so tonight we have those departments here. So we'll start with technology and Tracy Lewis. You're the next contestant.
Come on down.
Okay, so Dandy, in the, I put a USB stick in there and it has a slideshow on it.
Oh.
She's,
You've tapped my, yeah, I'm not that on my. Did you? Where am I gonna go? Tracy?
I don't know, but.
Right here.
1%.
And then,
That one?
yep. And then the Dear E drive. E drive. And open that baby.
Oh, see, wow. Pick my kid. Thinking, hold on. I know, right? Technology.
We need to upgrade this computer.
Yeah. It's all good. It'll show up.
I think we need a bigger screen too.
Yeah, it's too small. I'm gonna share this so that the public can see it. Or I can't see it. No, it's-
There it is. It's under that. There's rabbit. Here it is. And the front of it. Yeah,
There we go.
there we go. Okay, sorry. So I'm going to talk to you about Pick My Kid. Pick My Kid is a suite of web applications. And we got it for the elementary school because they needed some help with dismissing kids through the car pickup line and the buses and the walker kids. And basically what it does is it keeps a electronic record of who was dismissed when and who they went with or what bus they went on and that sort of thing. So it's a really nice tool for that. But it came with a couple other modules that I'm going to talk to you about today. They're the safety and emergency tools, emergency alert and emergency reunification. So we already have a mobile app for emergency alerts and it's called Crisis Go, but we've had it since 2015. So it's really old and it's cumbersome and it's hard for us to customize because we have to go through the company to do that. And also Alyssa's law Alyssa was a student, I think, in the Parkland shooting. And this law is pending in Oregon. It's gone through the House, but not through the Senate yet. But it mandates and funds mobile app-based silent panic alerts for schools. So that was another reason. And then also, as I mentioned, our whole emergency response protocol is very old and due for a refresh. And so Daniel, if you'll click that little short movie there.
I compose this.
Yeah.
Okay. She says that. There we go.
Oh, other one. Oh, sorry. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, next slide.
Yes.
Okay, and so this is a look at what it looks like when you pull up on a screen. Obviously, it'd be skinnier and longer if you were on your cell phone, but if you wanted to send an alert, first thing you do is you say whether it's a drill or not, and then those little tiles are the buttons. And like the video said, they can be customized to with any name you want or icon you want. And then you would also customize who they go to. So a lot of them would go to, we would send to the law enforcement as well. You know, so we might send one to the telephone company if the, phones are down. And then that one we might also send to parents, our phones are down, don't try to call us or, like I said, everything's fully customizable and we can add as many as we want. That screen, you can just scroll up, it gets longer. So you can put as many as you want on there. And also we can add, it's like minutes to add one or to take one off. So some examples, we can easily create an alert for a student with a seizure disorder or a student with a severe allergy that would notify the appropriate staff. Send a text and or voice message to the parent and provide specific instructions for that event. We could also create a button for a non-emergency, like a student needs a break, when they're overwhelmed. And we could have that send a message to the counseling and the admin staff so that they could go out and check on the student. We could also create buttons for common occurrences, like, notify staff for one of those urgent cleanups. Or, that maybe there's a food truck is there, and we need them to unload it. But anyway, I'd like to form a committee to decide the buttons and who they go to, protocols that would go with each. The other application that it has is reunification, which is the process of ensuring that children are returned safely to the care of their parents following an emergency. This is something that it's part of our response protocol, but we've never really had, it hasn't really been practiced in the district yet. Yes, well, it hasn't been needed, but it also hasn't been, we haven't drilled on it. And I think there are a lot of questions and holes in what we would do. Simply put, reunification is you check the kids in one location, you check the parents in another location, and you make a match and you send the kid home. Next slide. With the Pick My Kid system, that would make it electronic. So it'd be easy to communicate with the parents and staff to let them know locations and, what we need them to do. Obviously it replaces paper, big books of pages of emergency contacts and parents and who's allowed to pick up the student. It provides real-time electronic updates. So we could have several people doing this at once on their phone or tablets. And then if, say, for instance, grandma came and picked up, she's an emergency contact, she picked up a student, then mom shows up, we can easily see that, oh yeah, she's already picked up such and such time by this person. So it just saves a lot of panic, and I think it'd be a really helpful tool. It also gives us, having it electronic like this, gives us a platform to do a drill, and we can also get reports from it. So,
Can I ask a question in regards to that?
yes, it's
Is-
question
is
time,
it-
actually.
Yeah. Is it, like, in order for the app to work, does it need Wi-Fi? So, if there was ever a situation in which, like, we had no Wi-Fi, are we then down this program? Or is it?
Yeah, you have to be connected either Wi-Fi or cellular. So it's one or the other. Yeah.
Are we using this now?
No, we have it, we own it because we bought the Pick My Kid thing, but we need to get it set up. now.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to give you an introduction and,
So this will be given out to all the parents. Basically, is the plan.
yeah.
Is that what is that?
Yeah.
And we're
I'm
starting
not
with the
sure that we
elementary?
could have them install anything on their phone, but it ties in with our Power School system, so their phone numbers and everything are already in there. So what it can do is it sends messages, so
Oh,
either a voice.
so they don't have to, they
mess-
wouldn't
right,
really have to do anything.
Right, yeah,
It'll just come to them magically.
yes, yeah.
Awesome.
That sounds
Um,
really magic.
Magic.
How long is it gonna take to implement?
That's gonna be a committee question. It actually, it's really quick to do the work and put it in. I think there's gonna be a lot of conversations because we're using a standard response protocol right now. There's a ton of other protocols out there. Printed out a bunch of materials today and, I'd like to have a committee that looks through it and, digs down to like, take some good things from different protocols that are out there.
Sure.
So,
So,
We'll
if-
have to involve the police department as well, since they're the people that obviously would come and help us with whatever issues we're having. for
So,
that nature.
how does Mary get checked off that's went on the bus or Mary walked home? How does that work?
at the elementary, they have, different areas of where they wait. So there's the walkers are here and the bus riders are here and the car line is over here.
Right,
And,
so if we have somebody there that will
Yeah.
be, all right, Mary,
And that
Mary
happens right
never.
now.
yeah,
That part happens right now.
that's-
No,
So
yeah,
no
but they're just-
elementary kid leaves without us saying, you walked home, you got picked up in the car zone.
So like you've
got
already
on the
created
bus.
lists in there
Mhm.
and these people are just checking off.
Yeah, and it's really cool because like if a parent wants to, there is an app for that. So, and I'll go in, I'll get all geeky about it, but they have there are geo fences set up. So like when the parent drives into our area, bing, it comes up on their screen and says, are you here? And so they say yes, and then the staff know that they're there and they.
That's what this program will do?
Yeah,
My kid,
Oh,
yeah, and,
that's really cool.
yeah, and if somebody's, if you have a change, like the parent can put in, oh, this emergency contact is gonna pick them up today, or I have a new person, it's my neighbor, they're gonna
Yeah.
pick them up and, then we'll know to check their ID when they show up, and we know who's gonna pick them up, and without having to call the office and the office,
So like they send a text message and it connects to their
yeah, they do.
profile or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's all I know.
So at that point, they would,
Parent is
sorry.
putting like, within 10 minutes, only a 10-minute notification, is that gonna be enough time? Sometimes it happens.
I think they have, we can set the cutoff in the system, and I think they have it 15 minutes before, but I'm not sure on that. Yeah.
So, but at that point, to utilize everything, they would have to download the app.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
Okay.
and Christina has.
I was
ours.
just saying, I have the app, if you guys want to see it. Do you want me to show you really quick what it looks like?
Sure.
It's like, you're asking a lot of questions, but it's easy once you see it, like, so my kids are always the pickup line, so it has like both of their names, if they're in school today, one of them was sick the other day, so that's like, they're not there. And then as soon as I get in the car zone, I hit announce and it goes, okay, you're here, and then they know what number it is. It's actually kind of not creepy, but like, it won't let me do it, like, if I try to leave my house, like, you're not in our area, you can't come get them yet, yeah, so, which is nice. And
Like on
then-
the way to Walmart pickup. I am coming.
Yeah. And then you can change it. I have it like, so we're gonna pick, I don't know, this day. I haven't played with it a lot, but I know that you can, you can change like the default pickup and then,
So you can change it if you want, if
Yeah,
they
so
decide
like-
they're gonna walk to their friend's house.
wherever,
That-
yes,
that's that,
then
and
you
you'll
can just do it
tell them.
on here. Yeah, I have done it one time and I probably should have played with it before in the back before I came up here.
Good.
Oh yeah, it won't let me do it because they're not in school. They're not in school, but yeah.
Do you have like grandma picking them up? Does she have to download it on her?
It says like add a pickup person on mine. So then I would just say if they're an emergency contact's already on there, which grandma is, happens to be on there for my children. Then I can just pick like other pickup person, and type in her name and then it pulls up on their list. So. And it's 1 o'clock. Charlene, if you change your pickup after 1 o'clock, Charlene will.
Good to know.
She's on it.
Yeah, don't play with her, yeah.
Not as generous
Thank
as
you.
I was-
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds awesome.
Any other questions?
I think a good time for us to test out how the emergency deals work or the reunification will be summer school. Because we'll have like that really small population. And if it goes sideways, it only affects,
Yeah.
60 kids, not,
Won't scar the
And-
entire population.
just a small population. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe we would be able to try.
Oh, okay, so summertime.
Yeah, July summer school. work out the kinks and then launch it for the fall. That's cool. I like it.
Quite the fire drill.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, next we have custodial maintenance. So tonight we have Julie Powers here. Gus is unavailable due to a family emergency.
Oh.
So we've got
Everything's all right?
PowerPoint, other one. Hold on. I don't know. I am on a roll tonight, aren't I? Hold on, let me find it. Let me find it. Was this one? Maintenance is there. Oh, I am not signed out. I'm not signing it, it's saving the changes, so. Why don't you start talking, Julie, why I can make this work?
Okay, so we started our summer off really busy. We closed the daycare and we started off our summer with a very fun garage sale because we all love garage sales. And we put all of the equipment from the daycare back in the hands of the community, and we helped a couple of other daycares that are in the community get a really good start with that equipment. So that was a lot of fun actually to see the community and also to meet some community members because I don't often get that opportunity because I spend a lot of time in my office. So that was how we kicked off our summer. Some of the improvement projects, though, right here, you can see what we did with the daycare center is we went ahead and put together the student services building. And we took the playground area and we put together some picnic tables where some staff and students can meet out now and enjoy that area. We took the gates off so people can kind of walk through. And right there is some lovely rain to be able to enjoy it. But there will be some sunshine, hopefully, where we can enjoy it soon. And the building got new flooring, some new furniture, and then it's not quite completed yet, but this is where we've gotten so far. And it will get some finishing touches. It got a new roof and we put an awning over the front door so that you can enter because the door is locked so you can stand there out of the rain while we go ahead and bring the students in and welcome people into the building. So that's one of the improvements that we've made in the district from the summer to now. So let's move to the next slide. One of the improvements we've made in the district so far is we put a new secure fence in, a 6-foot fence around the preschool. So you can no longer reach over the fence and take one of our students. Not that that has happened because it hasn't. But one thing that has happened is we have some very active students who like to climb fences. And so this has made it so that our preschool and our preschool teachers have not had to get their jogging in so early in the afternoons. And so we have added that extra fence in, and we are actually going to be adding in some chips so that we are going from 4 inches to 9 inches around playground, which is actually a new standard. So we're going to be putting in some siding around the fence and then 9 inches around that as well. Also, all of our doors were solid, which was a real hazard for when you're opening the door, especially when the kids are right at the level of the doorknob. And also it's kind of a safety hazard too. So it creates so that the teachers aren't able to be visible. If they need help, they're not able to say, you know, hey, I need anything. So we added windows to all of our doors. So, and the office door is green and all the classroom doors are gray, and you would be amazed what a difference that makes when you're giving people directions to come to the office. So it's subtle changes, but it makes a really big difference when it comes to giving people directions. For the staff at the elementary school, one thing that we added is right over here on the west side, or excuse me, the east side of the building, is we put a card scanner so that they don't have to fumble with a lock when going through the gates. It was a staff convenience to be able to get in, but it was also a safety thing so that when our elementary kids are leaving the building for any kind of emergency, they just have to scan instead of lock, unlock, relock. But that did come with a unexpected expense because our operating system was so old. We had to upgrade the entire system. And so we were not expecting that. So that is something that happened. However, our staff is elated at the fact that they can now walk over, scan their card, and actually walk in. And especially since a lot of them park here and walk through the rain to get there. That was really great. And then we had an unexpected rainstorm that caused some damage, some before and after picture. That is not toilet paper on the floor, that's actually ceiling. So we have a before and after of ceiling or of floor to floor and ceiling to ceiling. So we had some ceiling damage, but it looks beautiful now, our new little small space there at the elementary school. So again, some small improvements, but also it makes a big difference when you have small spaces that look now really nice, and it wasn't a Band-Aid fix. It's been nicely restored, so. District office,
Wow.
we have 2 bathrooms, not one.
Fancy.
And you don't have to look at the water heater when you walk in. And 2 people can use the restroom at the same time. We look professional now. It's a fresh, clean look, and they're not quite done yet, but they are almost done. Our guys worked really, really hard, and our guys did almost all the work. The plumbing was done professionally, but our guys did the rest of the work, and you would be amazed at what the cost was when we had it quoted versus what we spent. And it is done very well. The flooring was done, was laid by someone. Most of the work that needed to be done so that it was long lasting was done professionally, but our guys did the rest of the work, and it does look really nice. We have some finishing touches still to do, but I think that you guys will be really impressed with what they did.
I would just say that what we've gotten the most compliments and yays about this year is the card swiping thing over at the elementary school and the bathrooms here. Like, that's all it took to make you happy.
I didn't think that's huge.
Yeah, I think that's so.
Well,
No.
it's cold. You don't
It
think
is,
about it.
yeah.
You hold
It is
a lock and you
annoying.
try to go in. Yeah.
It's just the idea of like the barriers to just being able to go in and do your job or like
Mhm.
take care of business while you're trying to do your job it's the little things that make the difference.
So, and this is another huge compliment from that we've heard a lot too, is the middle school. I don't know if you guys have been to the middle school, but their staff room was this little tiny closet. So, and they had no place to meet. They were meeting in somebody else's classroom, which means that, you know, you're meeting at a student desk.
Mhm.
And so we had some space open up, so we didn't just give them that space. We went in and we made sure that they had matching chairs. We put a little couch space in there. We made sure that they had a microwave in there. And we actually made sure that they had a meeting space with a whiteboard, with a desk in there so that they can actually go in there and have a break, close the door, have a meeting room, and make sure that our staff is taken care of. The other thing that we did was when we took down the fencing from the preschool area is Gus and our guys took the fencing and made it in the yard area. It has cut down on our garbage. The kids have not been dropping garbage over there. And it actually has cut down, our grass looks like grass now too. So it was a repurpose, and it has made a big difference in making it look like their space. It has separated the spaces. So anyway, and here's just a few of the highlights of things that we've done. We have no longer have a mud pit over here. And I have to say, I don't know if you guys have met our track coach, David Castle. He is amazing. He approached a vendor and got some gravel and other things donated. And so this is a quarter minus that he got donated, and we have been putting it in a lot of mud spaces that we have. And so we no longer, you don't have to walk through mud to get to our track anymore. We've dug out the long jump pit, and we have a new long jump pit coming for track season. So this is the drinking fountain that was out by the baseball field, and you don't have to walk through mud to get there anymore. And those are repurposed as well, those bricks around there. And these are chips from the wellness grant that Melinda got for our staff. We've added another third of a mile. We have one more third of a mile to go, and we have a full complete mile for our community to use, our staff to use, to walk a whole full mile. And also our cross-country team will have a full mile to be able to run a full cross-country meet. So our middle school now hosts the cross-country. We are the only middle school that hosts the cross-country. meet, and now our high school does as well. So, and it makes it so that our staff now has a place to be able to walk and unwind if they need to. And we have been keeping up on our drainage as well, so it can be used year round. So,
And remember, whenever there's not school in session, we open up the gates and the community can use it as well. I love that.
yeah, and there are benches out there. There are 4 benches out there. So if somebody who can't make a full mile, you don't have to. You can stop. And there are 3 different areas where you don't have to make the full mile. You can cut off and come out sooner from the mile. So, and you can stop and rest on the way. And there's also garbage cans out there so that trash is not a problem out there. So in the future, right now, what we're working on, we're continued cleanup and organization around the district. So we have made it a mission to make sure that we are cleaning up some spaces around here. It's hard when you are a very large district and then you've consolidated. And there are a lot of usable things around here, and you don't want to get rid of those things, but also there are a lot of things that need to go back to the community. But then there are also some things that we need to go ahead and just let go. So, because we can't store everything. Most fix-it issues that have arisen have been complicated by outdated facilities. So there are things that we've had to update. It has cost us more than we have anticipated. So that has been issues, but we're working through a lot of those. The high school gym roof, we were hoping for this summer, but it looks like we're moving a little more toward the cafeteria. Those are some things that we're anticipating and we're hoping for. We're working on that. Solution to some HVAC issues are some things that we're working for as well. The district office parking lot, those are some asks, the simple thing of not having to unlock the gate, also not having to walk through some drainage issues. And you guys know what those are because you have to walk through those same ones when it pools up, to get to work. The rain pools up to get to work. Also, we're hoping to finish the SBA building. We started a remodel on that building for the health clinic, and it looks nice right now on the outside, the inside not so much, but we're hoping to go ahead and finish that and make it a usable space as well. And then also the finishing touches on the student services building. So, any questions?
No.
So, that was great.
That was
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have food services, Ms. Belinda.
I have to mention the washing tap is not just a grant that I got, Dan got one, and Julie's gotten several others to keep it going and build on it. So it's really awesome. I love that. Okay, well, I have a PowerPoint. You all have a copy. I'm just gonna go ahead and instead of making her stand up here, we can just read it. It's only
Okay.
pages. So tonight I wanted to talk about the Jervis Wellness Policy. A couple of months ago, I was in a meeting with several food service directors in the state. And several of them have issues with support of the wellness policy. And can be very difficult when you're trying to make something happen. And I appreciate the support that we've gotten from the Jervis School District. I mean, I think that I've only worked in one school district, but the integrity of this school district since the day I started has always impressed me. So I wanted to discuss that a little bit. So, so any entity that participates, and I'm sure you know most of this, you guys have gone through it, in the National School Lunch or Breakfast Program have to have a wellness policy. So, but why am I involved? I asked that same question. So when shortly after I became a food service director, it was only a couple of years, I found out I now had to do the be in charge of the compliance and review of the policy. That is after Dandy, of course, because she is always in charge of everything. But then this is now rests on me. So when we have, I think the next page, actually, my administrative review. So we just had, part of that administrative review of my program is reviewing the wellness policy and are we keeping things up to date and doing what we're supposed to do. So during that review, they're going to check compliance on smart snacks, the annual review and triennial assessments. Are we doing them? Where we at on them? Competitive foods, marketing, and community notifications. And nutritional standards. So our school meals have to meet all nutritional standards, but so does anything sold to students in our schools during what they call the school day. So this would include the school stores, the vending machines, fundraisers, events that happen during what they consider the school day, which is after the last activity of the school. It doesn't include parent events, like if they have the sports event and they do the Cougar Den, or somebody wants to do a dinner. But if they are charging anything to students, then it has to follow the Smart Snacks. And I will tell you, this has been my least favorite responsibility, because it was quite an adjustment when we started this for the staff. So they were used to doing whatever they wanted, and then all of a sudden you can't do that anymore. And I had to say no a lot. So
Everybody enjoys.
yeah. So the how the school district supports the smart snack requirements is as part of the wellness policy. These are also federal and state guidelines we have to follow. But our staff handbook has the fundraiser policy about selling food in the staff handbook, so they'll know where it is. The vending machines, when I remember when they came in and the district just like, okay, and they got, the high school was doing the vending machines. They still do, they're in charge of it. I've never been part of that vending machine, but I am required to make sure they're selling the proper things. So they were right away before we even, the summer was over, it was changed. They did a great job there. School stores, if they want to do a school store, they ask me. Oftentimes I can find products they could sell, or I'll give them suggestions. I always try and give an alternative when possible. Event request forms has updated to get approval from these, so I don't have to ask and find out, oh, they're making nachos and outside without a license or supervision of a kitchen, and you know, we don't want to be sued over something. So it all, you know, anybody who wants to do that, I think there. And administrators are really good now about referring staff to the food service director if somebody's approaching them about selling something. So I get a lot of things saying, hey, my principal said I needed to talk to you. And that has been very helpful. So what happens if we don't follow these guidelines? And somebody decides to sell something? Let's just sell candy bars. I mean, why not? Everybody likes candy bars, so it's good money. But it results in a financial finding for the food service department. So I am fined because somebody else is not following that.
So like even if a sports group was doing a fundraiser and selling candy bars, the kids couldn't sell them at school?
Not at the
Like-
school during the school day.
Silver Falls, the kids sold non-sugar-free gum and we got fined $5,000. No way. No,
Yep.
yeah, it's a thing.
And I'm so glad Danny has that experience, because she's always supportive of everything anyway, but she knows what has happened. We have not had that. We were close a couple times over our
Gum.
coffee shop. Okay, question.
Does somebody churn them in for it? Or I mean, how does that come about?
Well, during my administrative review, they check a school store and they see something in there, you know, that's not supposed to be in there.
They can do surprise inspections too.
Yeah, then they can come up.
Do they have anything better to do?
We also have a local resident who works for ODE's child nutrition, and she was on part of my first administrative review, and believe me, that girl was good. She, you know, everything. The gal with her was like, no, it's okay. This is allowed. It's allowed that. But her focus was on the old coffee shop that was here. And we had to adjust that one down where they couldn't use sugar. They had to use sugar-free flavoring. So, and that's as much as I'll say about that one. So we don't want to have it. So marketing, all foods and beverages marketed at or promoted to schools during the school day will meet and exceed the nutrition standards for competitive foods. And it is not just in the school day though. It says that you cannot promote the sale of food on a district website, reader board, or put flyers out at the school. you can send flyers home in a backpack. But you can't use school areas or property where kids are gonna be at. And you can't, but you can send flyers and robocalls, emails to parents. Like when they would sell cookie dough, you have to no longer put that on the reader board. Hey, you've got a cookie dough fundraiser. Kids have to send it home. We can send emails to the parents. This is where a huge adjustment happened. It's like, nope, you can't put that on the reader board. I'll go by and I'll see something. It's like, you have to take that off. If they have an event and they have a dinner and it's free, that's no problem. If they have an event and it's a dinner during the school day, they can't advertise it on the reader board. They just do this event, send a flyer home, says, oh, by the way, dinner's included for this or whatever. So. Yeah, it got a few sticky a few times with people just trying to get it down, but I will say with complete confidence that this district is exceeding in this area. So we're also responsible for the triennial assessment. So every 3 years, which will be next year, we go through, take the wellness policy. We use a tool called WellSat to ask the questions and see where we are. And we do that every 3 years. Every year we do the annual review. So, and we send notifications to out that shows that we've done it. You've gotten them, copies. These are ones that you were given in the past that we have reviewed and the date we reviewed it. Every year is an annual, every 3 years is the triennial. Our scores on our triennial review were amazing. Now look at it, because when we did 87.5 for comprehensiveness, 78.13 for strength. I looked up a couple school districts for online, I think Beaverton and Tiger Tualatin, and they were in the 30s and 40s. So because this is so new, and well, 2017, but it was so new for people to get up to the standard. Takes some time, and when you have a bigger district, it's probably a little more pushback, but this district has been so supportive that we got there immediately. So anyway, the last one is just thank you guys for all the support you guys have been given, and is there any questions or anything else? I can give you a sneak peek about next month. Something in my board report this month for December and January on the CEP. They did do redid the numbers, and we went from 76% CEP, economically disadvantaged, to 98.27.
Oh, wow.
So that's awesome, because that means that the reimbursement rate for meals is 98.27% of the kids get them at full reimbursement rate. The ones that don't, what was it, 1.73%, are 89 cents a meal, which obviously doesn't cover. Yeah, so that was really good. That had to do, as you'll see in the board report, they included Medicaid as a factor.
Oh.
So we're not celebrating that kids are.
I would say.
Yeah.
Right, no.
But we're celebrating the fact that like they're collecting the data appropriately and able to get an accurate picture on what the state is of our families and our kids so that we can serve them.
Specifically here in this town.
Yes,
And this benefits them in other ways too.
yes.
Through scholarships or other programs. I mean, driver's ed programs or other ones that I have to write letters for that they give discounts to go into. Just being part of it, even if the child is not, because our district is CEP, they get to have those benefits also. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So just had to tell you because it was such good news.
Thank you, Melinda.
I like her.
Thank you.
Linda. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to check it out. I need to.
Oh, we're checking out the bathroom.
I know. Sorry.
For those of you that were given your reports, you don't have to stay. Sorry, transportation. If we have to stay, they have to. Yeah, that's not fair. I gave my report. Yeah. So it is transportation's turn. Let me locate your PowerPoint right there. Everybody has PowerPoints. Everyone's just so prepared. Fabulous.
You want me to wait until?
Yeah, she'll be back in 2 seconds. Diana and I have been in constant communication in this last,
Yeah,
day.
and I was just informed that both Salem Kaiser and Woodburn have.
For tomorrow? Oh, my
So
word.
just giving you that information.
It's gonna be
on
like
the spot,
90
Andy.
degrees tomorrow. That sounds.
I
good.
know, right? I'm afraid to make the call and it'll be balmy 75 and everybody will be like, what is she doing? Closing the district or?
Oh,
brother.
It was 4-day weekend.
Yeah, yeah, it's always that.
So I'm just giving, since I just received that information, there you
Okay.
go, on the spot.
I'll, after
Oh,
I'm out of
great.
my meeting, I'll give you a call.
Sounds good. Yeah, everybody's, wait, does transportation have any information? No,
So when are they closing?
I don't know. I just got a, hey, do you know anything? Salem Kaiser and Woodburn are both closing early. Like, no, I don't know
I'm
anything.
on a group text message with those superintendents. They did not share that.
Their elementary gets out at 12:20, middle school 1:15, and high school 1:30.
For which district?
Woodburn.
Okay.
They're all freaking out about tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, Dana.
Okay,
All right.
well, we'll not worry about that right now. We'll look at the past, so. So this is just gonna be kind of a rundown of since school started.
Oh.
I thought I would, this is not all of our team, in these pictures, but just some great pictures that I've taken over the last couple months. We have a total of 18 drivers on staff. They are not all full-time drivers. Some of them are trainers, some of them are part-time for various reasons. But 18 drivers is great. It's more than I've had in a really long time. 5 of those drivers have students in the district, which I think is a pretty awesome number. In fact, one of our most recent ones actually became a driver and then enrolled her student in the district. Doesn't actually live in district. One driver has a grandchild in the district. And 2 of our drivers are actually former students of Jervis. They both graduated from Jervis. So I just think that's a really neat stats. We're very local, we're very family. We care about here, right? And move on. So ODE requires that we have a certain amount of training, just like school teachers do. We have to have a certain amount of training every year. On January, we usually do that the same day that the teachers are doing their trainings. We do ours, or the teachers just have work days. So on January 2nd, we had a 8-hour class on transporting students with special needs. We did a bunch of classroom stuff on discussing different types of special needs, how pupil management of them, laws and liability on that kind of stuff. And then all of the drivers, we have a number of new drivers between last year and this year, got hands-on experience with all of our securement and whatnot that we use on the buses. And so they are all trained. If we need to put somebody on in an emergency, they all have some experience, some training on how to handle these different situations. We have been working really hard to stay accident-free. So it's been 148 days since our last accident. By accident, this is not what you think of as this is any incident that our bus hits a rock that scrapes the side of the bus. That is to us an accident. So it's been 148 days since our last accident and 241 days since we had any kind of an accident that had students on the bus. There were no students that were harmed in that accident, but there were students on the bus at that time.
Would that be like a rock chip?
Yeah, or like, not rock chips necessarily, but like, scraped a post or something like that, yeah. This is our average ridership to school in December, which is actually a little bit lower than we normally are, just because December is kind of a funky month with the holidays and stuff. And this is just to school. Our afternoon is a little bit more complicated to calculate just because we're going in so many different places. And so I didn't get a chance to calculate that numbers for you, but this is what December looked like. Something new that we started this year is we really want to make sure that we are on time for our students. So we started a process that the drivers actually call in. They have specific stops along the way that they have to call in and say they're there. We
Rita and I, whoever's in the office, will write down what time they're calling in. And they have specific ones they call in, and then we compare that to what they're scheduled to be at. And so then I can take that information, that data, and I have determined that 96.5% of our morning pickups are within 5 minutes of their scheduled time in the morning. And the other 3.5%, the majority of those times that we're more than 5 minutes late, it's trains. If you live, you know, our district, we have a lot of trains in our district, and traffic. We end up with a lot of, between River Road and Highway 99, we end up with a lot of traffic where the drivers just can't get back out of the road. And that puts them behind just enough. With that, what I don't have up there is that since after that first week of school, when things are just kind of a little messy, other than a couple minutes late by the sped bus, every bus has had their students to school on time. This is the pickup times for along the route, but we schedule our buses early enough so that even at 5 minutes late pickup time, the school kids are still more than early enough for school. So they are not ever late to school itself. And then the field trips that we've done so far this year, sports trips broken out, and then the field trips to like academic during the day field trips and stuff. It's just kind of an impressive number. High school sports trips, that includes all of our football games. You know, those miles get really high when we're going to places like Culver. Or Southern. And so, yeah, and so I wanted to share a little story. You know, we all know that our football team went down to Sutherland for, you know, in playoffs this year. One thing about our people is even if they're not from Jervis, even if they are, they were hired as, this was a job, they care about your kids. I will say that. The driver that took the boys down to Sutherland, she was updating me the whole time. She's watching their practice when they press well. She's sending me videos. She was excited. She wanted this trip. This was not a job to her. This was a chance to go and support the boys. When they got done, she was disappointed for them, just like they were. She actually had at least one, she was talking about it again today. A couple of those seniors actually came and cried on her shoulder as they were getting back on the bus. They were so sad, and they saw her support of them and knew that they could do that with her. And so I just want you guys to know that, you know, your kids are our kids, whether we live in this district or not, they really care about your kids. So I got you guys. That's it.
Real quickly.
Any questions?
Yes, real quick. Do the buses have cameras that are shooting out that if for
No,
cars?
we only have internal cameras.
So, all right. No, I just, this morning I was leaving town and there's a line right before, and one of the guys was impatient and took off and went right around. Kids are still loading up and things, so.
Yeah, we
Have cameras for that.
do not have outside cameras for red lights and like they're running our red lights and stuff.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Diana.
Thank you very much.
It's illegal in the state of Oregon to actually use for.
We had that, yeah, I think we had that discussion before.
Yeah.
I believe that's the reason.
Can they have like a dash cam?
I mean, they can have them, but I don't think that they're legal to use for anything. So. Unfortunately, so, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian and Rita, for being here. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Financial report.
yes, Miss Karen.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And
Well, under your pile of special papers, I slipped one pager here. And it's that aggregate financial projection by object. And so in the board report, I'd crossed that one out because it wasn't in the board report because things were looking off to me. And so I scheduled a meeting with Forecast 5, who is the company that has the software program that kind of gives us a lot of this data that we can use. And you know how at the November meeting, it was pretty grim looking ending fund balance for this year. And the nice thing is we kind of found one of the big errors with how it was calculating. down in the, if you look in that expenditure section, the very last one is other uses of funds. That 973,000, that's our contingency amount. In the prior report, it was considering that, it was projecting it to be spent. And by projecting it to be spent, it was adjusting what the projected ending fund balance is by that amount. So now you see at the very bottom line, that looks a little bit better. You know, it's still not as high as it was last year at this time, but it's certainly better than $500,000 or $600,000. So that really was a kind of a big issue with what was happening on our report of that. So I do see it going down. We're going to do some more tweaking now that the audit's done and we're bringing in all of our final figures. We're going to do a little bit more tweaking on it and look through all the expenditures again and all the revenues, just to get it as, you know, as set in the, you know, close to showing you what the projection is for the end of the year. You know, this report is kind of a required report that I need to show you each month, because what I'm showing you is how we're doing and what I think we're going to land at by the time the year is done. So, you know, it is an important report, and it's important that it's calculating everything correctly. So we're doing a little bit more on it, and then I feel like it's going to be a pretty good representation of how we will end at the end of the year. But regardless, it's much better than it was last month or in November when we went over this. So one other little thing I want to point out on this is if you look under expenditures, under salaries and associated payroll cost, for the first two columns, prior year to date and current year to date, if you take those top two, the salaries and associated cost, it's about 300,000 more this year than it was last year, which is about 11% more. That figure is higher because we moved any staff that was in ESSER got moved over to the general fund. And that is another piece where we're going to be putting some staff back over to ESSER for this year, which will again help with this ending fund balance when we do the calculation further. So that is still something that will need to be done and will be shown at the February meeting when we go into February. Another thing that's going on now is that we're gearing up for getting the budget going and the figures in for our budget document. And we did our estimate of membership, and we budgeted this year at 853 students. And at last check, last week, we were at 852 students. We had gone up at the start of the year, but because we have some students who are away at this time of year, December, January, we are a little lower. But I think that it was about, Dandy, was it about 10 students we expect to come back with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And there'll be some movement at semester time too, with more kids coming in, I anticipate. But,
Right. So it'll be a little bit more than that, but the projection for 24-25 is 829 students. So that we have a very large, another large senior class leaving and a small freshman class coming into the high school. But also, we're projecting about 60 kindergartners. And so it kind of makes up that difference. The good thing is that they do the 2-year look back. So our budget should be about what it is this year. And, they split the state school fund, 49% this year, 51% next year. So a little more in that way for next year when we get moving for it. So it'll be a little bit higher than it is this year. So that's my projection on the budget. And those are just the things that I wanted to tap into on this meeting, because I will see you again next week. So are there any questions for me?
Exactly.
All right. Thank you.
No.
No, thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Sure.
Thank you, Karen. All right, let's see, for my report, I am focusing on bond, because that's all I talked about. And also the early literacy grant, and so we can go ahead and move on and until we get to those time points, the agenda items. Any board? members?
Yeah, that board focus, you guys read this, I told you this here, and did you get a chance to read this?
No.
Up in the yellow.
The request to have public comment again, sort of at the end of the meeting.
So to everybody.
And the reason I'm against that, and I don't want to do that, is mainly when we first have public comment, the committee members are not really allowed to say anything.
Correct.
And so it makes we won't be allowed really to respond a second time. And they can bring that up for public comment at the next meeting of the
I was just
agenda.
gonna say.
So that is why I am not gonna go for it.
Perfect. No, it's just something we just needed to chat about. We're good? So, all right, perfect. Move on then. Consent items.
I didn't see anything.
I just wanted to highlight that we're doing a co-op with North Berrien for baseball again.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that opportunity.
I see we got our unified Special Olympic coaches.
We do, yeah,
Awesome.
we're gearing up for that, and Creighton will, I imagine next week will give you a report on how that's going and when those games will be.
Does anyone have any issues? I motion for consent on all of our, okay. I move that the Jervis District #1 Board of Directors approve the consent items as listed in Mass 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4.
Or motion?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. We'll have, action items.
These policies were our second reading that was slated for December, so you did the first reading back in November. And minor adjustments. And there has been nothing changed since the first reading.
I'm okay with it. If anybody doesn't have any issue, I'd like to motion.
I'm good.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve the changes to policy BG's BDA and IGBB as shown in action items 12-23-8.1.
We have a motion.
I second.
We have a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then you have this required annual reports, and it's called HAS in your action item. It's the Health and Safe School Plan. And just to test that we do the testing, that we have rodent control, we have emergency response system.
That's gonna be part of the, will that be part of this now?
That is
Okay.
separate, the HAS is more like,
Oh, all the chemicals.
Chemicals
Oh,
and-
they go through the.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was page 56.
Oh, okay. Anybody? Okay.
Oh.
Move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve the annual report 8 has as shown on agenda item 12-23-8.2.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
the next action item is the sick leave pool. You had a first reading on that in November. Remember, this is established by committee. And there's been no changes to it since the first time we presented it to you.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approve the sick leave pool procedure shown on agenda item 12-23-8.3.
There's a motion,
Second.
there's a second, discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, your next action item is approval for the early literacy grant. This grant, actually, I had to submit it in December before the break, but they let you go ahead and present evidence that the board gave input and that you passed it after the submission. It's a non-competitive grant. Every school district is getting money as long as they fill out the application. So I'm going to share the literacy plan with you, but really much of it is already grounded in the work we've been doing with our reading TOSA and the work at the elementary school. It's also part of our student investment account monies. We're also providing opportunity for public input, and then what we have to seek, as I said, board approval. So as we know, literacy is the foundation for all learning. If kids can't read, they can't access the rest of their education. Using this as another funding source, it already supports the programs that we have implemented for the last 2 years. So I feel like the state is recognizing the importance of this, but we've already started the process. So we're a little bit ahead of the game. And we already kind of had an idea how we would spend the money when we heard that this was going to come about. And so we can use the funds to pay for our reading TOSA, which is what we intend to do, which will help our balance in other areas. So as I said, it's non-competitive, application-based annual grant. It's for K-5, but the majority of the focus eventually will be K-3. It's the idea to support comprehensive early literacy plans. The deadline was January 8th, but I had to do some preliminary work for December 15th. And it's a small amount of money for this first grant, and we're hoping that in the next legislative session that they will increase the amount, because when you see the amount that they give us, it's, it's not going to be game changing for student literacy scores.
I was just gonna ask you
Yeah.
that because it had 90, okay.
So $90 million for
Yeah,
the entire
around-
state over
yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. no.
So it's not
Gotcha.
much money.
Yeah, thank you.
And so we had to do an assessment inventory and also an inventory of the practices that we already engage in. And so I went to a workshop with Cindy Smith, our reading TOSA, and then we Google shared all of the documents with the other buildings and got input from people as needed to complete that. Our allocation for this year is just over $70,000, and for next year it's $73,000. So both of those amounts are going to help offset the TOSA salary. The strengths of our program is that we're already in year 2 of the work, so we're a little bit ahead of the curve. We adopted curriculum and have engaged in continuous PD. We have already aligned our pre-K curriculum with the elementary school. The elementary school is already doing data analysis every 6 to 7 weeks, and we have tier support systems in place. And we have strong relationships with staff and students. One thing that I saw today is our Youth Truth Survey data. And so I will not share that with you at next week's meeting because the turnaround is too tight, but it's amazing.
Good.
Like the growth that we've made in terms of staff and student perception on relationships, belonging, academic rigor, it in all buildings is improving. And in fact, the person that shared the data with me has asked if our team will present at the COSA conference in the summer.
Wow.
Because as he says, he does these reports every day. That's his job. And we are one of the few districts that are showing statistically significant gains, not just an anomaly. And so he would like to recognize our work. So I think it's really important. And then we have literacy nights, in place in building that relationships with families and their students to talk about the importance of reading. So we know that we need to improve our scores in the area of fluency and comprehension. We knew that from last fall's presentation from Cindy. Big factors to consider is attendance. There's some interesting work going on with the attendance piece that we'll share at a later time. language exposure and parent involvement. You know, our kids, these littles have been so engrossed in electronic devices and their language experience completely suffers from that experience. Whereas before, it used to be that they would open up books, they would talk with their parents, the device stops communication, verbal communication. And so that is definitely impacting our kids when they are in school. So the areas of focus for the grant requirements is PD, extended learning. That means after school, high dosage tutoring, curriculum, communication, student growth assessment, and matching funds. And so in each of these slides, we talk about what we're doing. You've already seen some of this information in previous reports about SIA monies. And really trying to focus on a student engagement through our teacher evaluation system so that everything they're doing, as Katie Schweitzer from Frontier Charter talked about, their kids show up virtually because it's interesting to them. They don't want to miss.
Right.
We want that same thing to happen in the in-person classroom, but not just bodies present, but minds present as well.
Right.
Our extended learning has really taken off because of that Latinx after school grant. And then the previous summers when we had that robust summer school was really impactful. Our high dosage tutoring, you know, we look at our assessment data, that data every 6 to 7 weeks, and we look to guidance from both Raul and Cindy to target after school help for our K-5 kids, and then also in summer school, especially like during the migrant summer school program or program. And then research aligned curriculum, you know, again, I cannot express how behind the 8 ball we were by not having the monies to adopt curriculum K-12. It is impossible to teach kids in a K-12 scope if you don't have the instructional materials. So we've made great gains there, and thank goodness we have had the student investment account money for that. A communication plan, we're continuing with focus groups, newsletters, family nights, conferences, social media, surveys, all of these things that we report to you. Our student growth assessments include the iReady, SBACS, Wonders is our reading curriculum. There's an assessment tool in there, as well as our intervention program, which is really great reading. And then the district is required to do matching funds. Well, we had already put aside money to support the reading efforts coming from title monies. The salary and benefits for the TOSA is just under $125,000. So we have 70,000. So, you know, it does free up some money out of title to be able to use for other materials and training. Any questions? Okay. So this is an action item. I think that there's verbiage.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves the early literacy grant as presented by Mrs. Stevens.
No motion.
Second.
We have a second. Discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So 8.5 is the letter that we crafted to submit with the seismic grant application. Still need to have board approval, even though we've already submitted the application.
In this letter, like, this letter's been submitted, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, we just need approval of it.
Yeah.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves the new letter for the seismic upgrade of high school cafeteria as presented by Mrs. Stevens.
Motion. And a second. Discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then the next action item is the opioid overdose response kit for middle and high school. Basically, this is a toolkit that was created by the Department of Education. And so once you approve us to go ahead and move forward, then we'll establish a committee to figure out how to implement these things and craft it so that it is unique and responsive to the families and students in our district. You will see additional drafts of what this is going to look like for our families before we start it.
Sure.
I just have a couple little questions
Yeah.
in there. There was a lot of information.
A lot of it, it's really dense.
Yeah, okay. So are we gonna get a committee or group together to form some sort of policy for us here in
Yes,
Jervis?
that'll be part of that.
And do we get 2 free kits that they're giving out to all of the school? Because they had like information in there about how to access it from a pharmacist or this, or another area where it was cheaper. And I thought the whole idea was to give the schools.
The kits.
The
for free.
kits.
Yeah, the actual drug.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Narcan.
Yeah, so, we actually partner with the police department. They have Narcan. And
Okay.
so then if we needed it, we could.
You have it available.
Yes, and I believe, I haven't spoken to the chief about this, but one of the, strategies was gonna be to have the, medication locked up in one of their, so we have the SRO office at the
Mhm.
middle school to have medication there. And we can also have the medication in the nurse's office. And so we have monies that we can use to purchase those items if we're not able to get it through the police department.
I am curious to know if we have actually ever had an overdose here at the school for kids.
Not kids. We had a crisis in the parking lot, at the high school, by an adult.
Oh, that's right.
I do
Mhm.
remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but we have not had
We
anything
have not
so
had
far.
any students
And-
at this point.
Have we had referrals for children that we thought were at risk?
Yes.
Or have been using?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Henry, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. And is the chief said anything about it here in Jervis as far as our
Well,
issues or anything?
there are issues, not use on campus, which we're thankful for.
Yeah.
But there are issues in our homes.
In our.
Mhm.
Have we identified some of the at-risk children and are you doing measures to help with that?
Yeah, when we have kids that we suspect or know are at risk, we go through a drug and alcohol referral process with them and their families. If there's any student that is caught with anything on campus, that's an automatic, you have to go for an assessment and you have to follow the assessment recommendations. But if it's just the counselors become aware of it, or parents have called in and said they suspect, then we're not coming at it as a discipline issue, but more of a wraparound services. How can we help you? And yes, we do that with the counseling department. They refer, we don't have a drug and alcohol counselor on campus.
Have we caught anyone using drugs and vaping at the school? And what do we do when that occurs and a teacher is aware of it?
Well, when students are caught using, yes, we have caught
Pot or
students using
something? Okay.
marijuana and vaping on campus. And so they are suspended, sometimes suspended pending to expulsion. But in that process, they're also required to do an assessment in terms of, do they have a addiction issue or possible addiction issue? They're required to follow the recommendations of the assessment. They're put on usually a contract, searching of their bag every day that they come to school. You don't get to go X, Y, and Z anymore. You have to be, it's a whole process in terms of helping them.
And obviously having
Citation.
and working with the parents.
Yes.
Very aware of it.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How do we like monitor that with the kids? Because it's interesting listening to my teenagers and how they talk about it and what happens in the school compared to like what we hear about it.
Yeah. Well, it's not like we have Doug or Andrew hiding in the bathroom.
No, I mean, obviously.
Catching,
but it's like,
but whenever they become aware of it, they clearly address it right away, with disciplinary consequences and also help. But we know we don't catch.
I just think it's a bigger problem than I think.
No, it
aware of
is
it,
a
so
huge
it's like
problem.
it's
When
a
you look at the Healthy
thing,
Teen
yeah.
Survey and the number of kids that say
Mhm.
that they have used marijuana, there's definitely a significant increase since marijuana became legal because they don't view it to be a taboo drug anymore.
Mhm.
They view it as similar to alcohol.
Mhm.
And so, but we know that the use of more extensive drugs continues to impact young brains more so than it does an adult brain. The vaping sensors that we're getting, that will detect those kinds of things that are happening with the vaping and the smoking. But the smoking of the marijuana, I mean, you can smell that, and so that doesn't really happen in the school building. Not saying it doesn't happen like outside behind some other,
Mhm.
but it's also difficult.
But some of those vaping,
Yeah.
that have THC in it, you can't smell it. either.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
That's the.
So kids always know more of what's going on than the adults.
It's
do.
just fascinating to
Time.
like listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's,
And you know,
That's
obviously
been going on
we're in
since,
school university.
yeah,
Hey, these
After we
booze.
graduate.
and cigarettes. It was just booze and cigarettes before, right?
Yeah, the water bottle back then. That's
Yeah.
a different thing, huh? I heard.
So we're just, who's gonna be in charge of, getting folks together to this committee? Who are you gonna put in charge of this?
I'm gonna see which administrator wants to take the lead on this. I'm imagining it'll probably be someone from the high school and probably Creighton and the nurse,
Okay.
and our SRO.
I, that's great. I think we should, I mean, obviously we have to do it and everything like that, but I was concerned about some of their marketing pieces that they shared with us. And, was it,
No,
no, I'm talking about, I
some
want,
of the marketing. stuff
I want
there.
to talk about a little bit.
Yeah,
about-
we'll make sure that it
Okay,
reflects
thank you.
what.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
What
there's
our
certain
values
things
are.
in here that we were like,
Yeah.
really?
Like
Yeah.
ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we're
Yeah.
aware of that.
Yeah.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves to apply for opioid overdose response kits for middle and high schools.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
I.
Aye.
Page 77.
Yeah, I know, that's what we're, I was,
Oh, those,
yes. Fred built that fence. No, yeah, that one, we were like.
What in the world? Yeah, like where does that come from?
I don't know.
Stop.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
That's it, huh?
our favorite topic, bond update.
Is it done yet?
You
Got it yet?
You
What are we
I
talking
wish.
about?
I wish I could just wake up and go, oh,
We're gonna be so
it's
bored
May
after.
20th. It's over and it's past.
It's only another 4 months.
Oh, boring.
So, let's revisit December 11th. Was it December 11th?
Yeah.
Have a look. That was our last community engagement meeting, which was hosted for us out at Cedar Valley Farms. And I would say that it was very well attended. Henry and Jenny were your board members there. And then we had the panel discussion with myself, Representative Kramer, Rebecca Stuker, your architect, and Bill Miller, who is a former student, but also works for Metcalf Construction, so he's able to answer the construction piece and the idea of,
they work on school buildings all the
yeah,
time. That's
yeah,
actually
that's
what they
just
do.
not, we can't do what we did with the school bathrooms everywhere.
Right.
So, I think what was really powerful, that people, the community asked some great questions. They were really, there with, an intent to listen and understand. Mr. Zelinski throughout the meeting was a very strong advocate, and chime in here anytime.
Yeah.
And at the end of the meeting, he basically said that it's time to pass the bond.
Right. Yeah, and the other one was, what I didn't know was that how many, well, I don't know how many, but the one lady who spoke up, she was
Yeah.
really passionate about that. She felt betrayed. She was betrayed by, because it happened like that. Nobody was, no discussions, there was no people coming to the school to talk about that we're closing this Brooks school down. It just happened. And then, so,
Resentment from the consolidation.
Yeah.
so the whole nation.
Well, and I
Thank
think
you.
for
I
them,
wasn't aware of it.
and I think what else I gathered from them was also just that, you know, because we're so spread out, having each of those buildings, you know, over off of River Road and down in Brooks, it made those areas feel still connected. So us being out here and having all of our district with no really idea of what's happening here, there's a huge disconnect. But yeah, I didn't realize those feelings.
I didn't know it was that.
Those were really intense. I mean, I remember that because, I mean, Brooks School just got built
Yep.
and we just moved into it.
It said
And
things
then
like,
it was like
yeah, what caught me too, is
awful.
they said, they said things like, we've been working on those buildings. We did so many things for those buildings, and then they were just taken away.
Mhm.
And it was, I thought, well, all right, well, I can see the resentment or the just like they didn't care. We didn't, or the district didn't care for them and their thoughts of what they were doing, of what we were doing and things there. And it wasn't explained why, really. I mean, why they were doing it and things, so.
I feel like it was also really greatly communicated there, like, we hear your hurts, but
Yep.
it's also time that we
There.
have to move forward.
That's
There, like,
exactly
we've
right.
gotta heal that, and now we've gotta focus on
Yeah.
what's currently in front of us.
Yeah.
I'm telling
So-
you, that Mr. Zelinski, he was blunt and he was just telling these folks, it's no longer, we have to get over it. We have to get over it. We have to get the school taken care of because it now becomes economics. It's not gonna, it's gonna cost us more if we don't. And why don't we?
Correct, and that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and
For a lot of
I'm glad he said it out loud because
Yeah,
it was,
same.
and he was staunchant about it. He must have said that. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said a dozen times easily that during that meeting and things there, so.
And then the next night, we had the night for the members of the Russian community. It wasn't as big of a turnout as I'd hoped for, but I
Yeah.
felt like it was
There was a lot of things going on at that time.
important people there who were able to say, yes, we can communicate out the importance of, you know, even if it's not about the school and your heart for the district, it's the bottom line, the dollar figure of
The
that.
dollar.
Like, you're gonna pay more if you vote no, type of thing. Angie, am I kind of getting that there?
Mhm.
Did you have any feedback from any of the?
Oh, everybody's really passionate about it. A lot more so than I want to say the first go around
Mhm.
on.
We even had people saying, well, we might as well ask for more.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we were $1.97 right now, is that where we're at, or?
Well, your last ask was $1.97. We polled at $1.71. I've got some final numbers now. I have asked Piper Sandler to crunch
Well, we're gonna-
that. And so I should have those numbers to you next week
Okay.
about, you know, $1.97 does this, $1.80 does this, you know, what.
Yep.
So on to the next piece then about the updates. January 22nd is the next community meeting at Life Spring Church in Brooks. It'll be at 6:30. I talked to the pastor there before break, and so he's really excited to actually host us. You should have, some of you may have gotten an invitation or a mailer.
Well, we must have, because it's in my calendar already.
Oh,
So-
well, there you
My
go.
wife
Your
just put it
scheduler
in.
already put it into your calendar.
That's a Monday.
So, and there'll be a second reminder going out next week. And we're inviting everyone, but we're gonna host it in Brooks. And so, we're hoping that we get a good turnout and it won't be a panel presentation. But there'll be guided questions, kind of like what we did at the meeting in December. And that's the only one we have on the books right now. And we're just trying to get through January. On the 18th, so next week, I will show you the online priority survey that we're launching. It's going to launch on the 18th and we'll keep it open to the 1st of February. And basically what it is it's all of those projects that were listed on those sheets of paper and the amount, and people can prioritize them. And then hit submit, and then that will give us a gauge of what people believe are important. I'll also target or highlight, we haven't quite worked logistics out on this, on what the non-negotiables are, like we have to repair the high school roof, you have to fix HVAC, you know, we don't just get to pick stuff that's a total of $1 million and call it good. That's not what's gonna happen. An important talking point that we're gonna continue to push is that some people are saying like, well, the bond amount is too big. St. Paul keeps coming up. So I finally talked with the superintendent at St. Paul today. Actually, he texted me.
The amount that we're asking for, or the amount that they're having to pay taxes?
They want it to be smaller, like St. Paul. Like St. Paul just came out and passed a $3 million bond, which they get $3 million from the state. So it's a $6 million project, but that's for one building. It's for a CTE building.
Right.
Should we also, though, back up and put in the information, when was their last bond that they passed?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And we're gonna put this all out together. They passed $6 million and he thought it was 2008, but he's looking $7 million in 2015.
Yeah.
$12 million plus the seismic grant. He doesn't have the year there. And then just now the $3 million, which was 6 million total. So, since 2008, they've got close to $30 million in bonding that they've done.
Okay,
Right,
not
they've been
$30
doing
million
upwards.
now, put inflation into it and
Yeah.
then tell me how much.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, it makes a
if-
difference when you do projects along the way
Yeah.
instead of you wait and then you have all these projects.
so, so
From what, $2.34 or whatever they're paying right now?
oh,
St.
well,
Paul?
they're gonna be the highest in
Yeah.
the state at $4.
Oh,
No.
then we can trade.
Um,
We'll do exactly what St. Paul did then.
So-
Well, that's what a lot of these folks are asking for, though.
Yeah.
They want us to put a thing on there for 3 million to fix the roof, and that's it. That's the end. Nothing else needs to be done here.
So I'm gonna share what has happened over at the elementary school over break. So in one of the classrooms, because custodial maintenance, one of the people noticed that the floor was wet. And so, they called Gus, and so they come over and they discovered that the sump pump, which I didn't even know we had a sump pump underneath one of the radiators in the classroom, overflowed and had been now leaky. And so it's all wet and including the subfloor wet underneath the carpet. And then when you walk into the classroom, you can see that the subfloor has started to shift. And it's soft. And so we're gonna make an insurance claim, but you know exactly what's gonna happen when you start ripping up that carpet.
No.
And then we're gonna have to do a mold test and a mildew test, because we also believe that it's leaked
Elsewhere.
down the side of the building.
On the outside.
And that is because you have a sump pump and a radiator system from the 1950s. And so again, the talking point is when we had the architects come through and look at everything, what do we need to have done? It was 119 projects at more than $60 million. And that was just to get the buildings back up to a 21st century learning environment. It was not anything, it was not brand new buildings. It was not fancy Sherwood school district level materials. So we knew that that wasn't going to happen. So your first bond ask was 44 projects at 38 million. We then whittled it down again last spring to the 22 projects that were the $24 million. And those 22 projects are HVAC, roofing, a cafeteria system that is appropriate, science classrooms, which our kids don't have, electrical, like that, 119 to 22. That is the minimum. Because anything else that's gonna happen, if we only fix one thing, it's gonna be wasted money because everything else is continuing to deteriorate around it.
Right.
It's like putting brand new tires on a car that is almost dead.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to, push that message out. And we're continuing to pursue additional grants so that we can then fill in those other projects that are not the 22 mission critical, but are also important.
Yeah.
So, we did get the $6 million Awesome grant. We already got that approval. We submitted the seismic grant, the project came in at just under 2.5 million. I have a really good feeling about that grant. I think we're gonna get it. But remember that project was primarily listed as, and if we have other funds available, we will do this project. But it also will replace part of that roof in the cafeteria area and the windows, which was part of the bond amount, which then frees up money to do these, these things that we know are gonna overrun our costs. I emailed Representative Kramer yesterday and because I had a thought after the presentation that she gave at the community meeting. And I said, what if instead of asking, for $2.8 million from the lottery, because they don't like to give all of that money to one project when they don't see evidence of community investment. They want to know that there's a partnership. I said, we have the roof broken out into sections, and we know the one that is the priority one is the gym roof. What if, and that project cost is coming in at $500,000. What if we ask for 80% of that, because you have enough money in your excise tax to pay for 20% of it. So it would do the whole roof, obviously, but if we get the seismic grant to pay for one portion of the roof and this lottery grant to pay for another portion of the roof, then maybe we can get the whole, we can piecemeal it up.
Well, yes, Tracy, we would love to have all of that. I mean, that would be fantastic. Who's gonna say no to that? It's that I rarely see that kind of stuff actually coming out of there and being helpful, so.
And that's why I'm thinking, well, maybe if the ask is smaller, that they would be more
Maybe.
inclined to trust it, yeah.
Give us a maybe.
So, what you also need to know, like some of the ramifications of what could happen if the bond doesn't pass. So Frontier Charter, I was gonna say it during their report, they're wonderful. They love us, we love them. It's a great partnership. But they did share that they are speaking with Mount Angel and St. Paul. Because if the bond doesn't pass and we dissolve, they want to make sure that they can stay with a small school district. They like this small school district. And so, I mean, they can't break the contract just because we might close. But obviously, we're not going to hold them to the contract if we're closing. So
Of course.
they have to protect themselves as well.
100%.
So, them taking that step is, that is a difficult step for them. That also raises questions for their families about what district are we associated with, it's just, there's all sorts of ramifications from that. So, I appreciate that he's, being transparent about that and keeping him in the loop. So.
Perfect.
I met with the city manager yesterday, the interim city manager. And he was unaware of some of the issues that are going on because, he's brand new to the job. So I'm going to invite him in to walk the buildings on a day at the end of the month when there's no kids. I think it's February 2nd. We have a grade day. And we'll go from there to see about gathering support and ideas from him as well.
Do we have a permanent, so it sounds like he's a temporary city manager. Do we have a city recorder that's permanent? Does anyone know?
I don't know if Laura Clifton is permanent or not. I don't know.
Is that who's, I didn't know
That,
that's who's
yeah,
in
that,
right now. Okay,
I'm not really sure.
okay.
The other piece is that we were gonna give you an update on the excise tax, like how much we have right now, because it goes January to December 31st. But the city hasn't paid Q3 or Q4 just ended. And so when I went and asked him about when might we expect the check and how much is it, he was unaware of excise tax.
Yeah.
So.
Okay,
All right. Well,
all right.
I'll find code for it.
So then at the next meeting, we will be looking at numbers for the bond. And we'll have an idea of whether it's 24, 27.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
And at the February board work session, before you go into executive session to work on my evaluation, I will give you the result of what the priority projects were from the public. And we'll give you a recommendation to consider so that at your February 15th meeting, you can go ahead and say, yes, and this is the resolution.
Will we have the packets on Monday by chance? So that
I think the packets are.
I have them right.
Hey, I was thinking that today. I was like, thank you. Another one already.
Yeah, so you have it electronic.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to get, through 125 pages right before, and when you only have a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
So I
be
have
hunkering down here soon.
Very nice press of this is how thick it is. We like it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's all I have on the bond.
That's great.
I do have an
New year.
executive session we
You're
need to
like-
go into tonight.
Okay. All right, so we're adjourned on regular for a couple minutes.
Bye, Karen. Thank you.
Bye, Karen.